5 seconds
Alright,
remaining.
welcome everyone to our second day of Group B. I, of course, am Niz. You're watching the Dota 2
Reserve
Canada
time.
Cup. And like I said, we're in Group B. We covered half of the games yesterday, and we've got another 3 to go today. And yesterday was certainly interesting. As, well, we've got 4 teams in each group. We saw the other 3 teams, or 3 of those teams, play yesterday.
Team pick.
That was Boreal, Wheel, and Black Sheep. And between the 3 of them, they all ended up 1 win and 1 loss. So they're all tied. The one team that we didn't see is Root Gaming, as we're going to see them all 3 games today, and they have the opportunity to mix up everything. If they win all 3, obviously they're into the next round. The top 2 will advance, so they can really shake everything up. But a win here from Boreal, or a win from Wheel, or a win from Black Sheep could very easily propel them into the next round. Of course, if Root manages to lose all their games, then we've got a 3-way tie, and we have to battle it out in a tiebreaker to figure out who advances. And we'll have the teams play each other and have to sort that out. But that's maybe thinking a little bit too far ahead. But we have certainly a really good night of Dota ahead of us. As, well,
5 seconds remaining.
you know, we had 3 really good teams playing last night. And when you add now Root into the mix, they're a team of very strong, very capable players. They're actually using TC as a stand-in for DK for at least this game, maybe all tonight, I'm not sure. But that's going to make it even more exciting because TC is, of course, a phenomenal player. And, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see what Root Gaming is going to be able to pull off here. Looks like Boreal eSports has gone with the Axe once again. We saw them play it in both their games yesterday. But let's talk about the bans first. As Troll and Sniper getting banned out by Root Gaming, Bat and Juggernaut were the bans for Boreal. Boreal then opened with the Axe pick, and Root Gaming fired back with the Witch Doctor and Zeus. Boreal also played Lion in both the games yesterday. So I'll have to look and see if they're going to choose to go for that again. As Pizza Dad was on that both games. Like I said, Axe was played at both games as well by Boreal, and Jeppins was on that game. The first game that they played, where they lost, it seemed like they didn't really, they weren't really able to get the Axe going in that game, and they just kind of struggled. Second game, the Axe really got the ball rolling. He was able to move around the map. And just create some kills. Obviously, they had an Earthshaker game too as well, which really was able to get into the action. And between the 2 of them, they really set the pace of the game. So it'll be interesting to see if they actually go for the Earthshaker again. The Lion, I mean,
5 seconds remaining.
I don't want to say he didn't have the biggest impact, because he certainly did. But he certainly didn't have as big of an impact as the Earthshaker did in that second game. However, you know, the fact that they played it in the game in both games, and the fact that we see Lion getting first picked a lot in not only these games but in the pro scene as well. Obviously, everyone recognizing that Lion is a phenomenal hero and definitely one of the top supports. One of the other top supports is Vengeful Spirit. We still haven't seen Vengeful Spirit picked up. So the top 2, or what is considered the top 2 supports in the game right now, have not been touched. They have not been banned. It's just been the Witch Doctor picked up, and potentially the Zeus being run as support as well. Our next round of bans just finished. It was Slark and Luna getting banned out by Root Gaming. A lot of teams starting to favor the Luna. So it's good to see her coming back into competitive play. Clockwork and Storm Spirit were the bans for Boreal, and Root Gaming picked up Phantom Lancer. Now we'll look to see how Boreal chooses to add on some heroes
5 seconds
to their roster. They did pick up, they played SF in their second game, so that was a game with the Earthshaker. And Earthshaker is a hero that works quite well with Shadow Fiend. Of course, he's one of those heroes that likes to move around the map and get involved early, but he's also a pretty defensive hero as well, or he can be, and he's great at basically trying to keep the Shadow Fiend alive if you try to put any aggression on him. So we'll see if they choose to go for that. It looks like they're going to go with the Lina. Okay. So I'm guessing that is going to be a support Lina. However, they could run it in the safe lane core kind of role, which they... Was it? No, it wasn't. It wasn't Boreal. I forget who ran it yesterday. Someone ran it safe lane, farming up. I think it might have been Wheel. Yeah, I think it was Wheel in the game that they played with the Caudal. Root Gaming's going to go with the Templar Assassin. So starting to look like we know what's going on with Root's lanes. Assuming the Zeus is support and not an offlaner, that would put our TA in the mid lane, Phantom Lancer, Witch Doctor, and Zeus as the defensive tri-lane, and then of course waiting on the offlaner. For Boreal, we're not 100% sure, but most likely Axe going to be running the off lane, Shadow Fiend mid. Lina could be support or farming up in the safe lane. Either way, she's going to be kind of relegated to that safe lane. What they could do is pick another support here and pair it up with Axe in the off lane. They did that a little bit in one of the games with the Lion. They put the Lion up there with the Axe, but then the Lion ended up moving around the map quite a bit more. So he didn't really stay up there the whole time with the Axe. But it's always a good idea, if you can, to kind of run that 2-1-2 setup. You just get a little bit more out of your lanes than your opponent. And it helps the Axe kind of get the ball rolling, which is what they really
Disruptor
kind of rolled with. Excuse the pun, but they kind of rolled with in that second game. And once Axe got going, they just followed him to victory. Stayed behind him while he ran around chopping off heads. But it is going to be a disruptor. I think this is the first disruptor we've seen. All tournament, is that right?
5 seconds remaining.
We certainly didn't see one yesterday. I'm just trying to think back to Group A. I don't even think we saw a disruptor in Group A. So disruptor. Interesting. So that'll be a support. And what's great about Disruptor is when you're going up against a TA, if you can lock her down, not only are you going to be able to, well, keep the TA in her place so she's not able to run around and hit people ridiculously hard with refraction, but if you lock her down in the kinetic field and then you put the static storm on top of that, you're going to burn through her refraction charges really quickly. And she's going to be silent, so she's not going to be able to hide and meld. She's not going to be able to pop a new refraction. She's kind of just going to be a sitting duck. So it's a good counter to the TA. It's also not bad against the Phantom Lancer as well. It's a good way of, once again, silencing him so that he can't get away. But it does some good AoE damage as well to try and clear out the illusions if you trap him and his illusions inside. And then, of course, there's the opportunity to just glimpse people back when they're trying to run away. The Thunderstorm, I believe it's called. Thunderstrike, close enough. Disruptor's first ability is also good against Templar Assassin's Refraction.
10 seconds
just helps burn through those charges. And just everything about the hero is going to be good against Root Gaming's lineup. The silence is going to be very powerful against the Witch Doctor as well. If no one else is pretty much able to get to the Witch Doctor and interrupt that Death Ward. Final two bans went through. Queen of Pain and Phoenix were the two bans, and now Root Gaming finished their lineup with the Magnus. And Boreal's going to pick up a Sven. Interesting. We're going to see a core Sven this game. So we kind of have the makings of one of the old school Dota 1 always feared dual lanes, or one of the strongest dual lanes in the history of Dota. And that's the Sven-Lina combo. Sven will be farming up, Lina supporting. That's kind of how it was done before. But we're going to have kind of the newer iteration of Dota with the tri-lane with Disruptor hanging out there. I don't think we'll see either Disruptor or Lina make their way up to the top lane and hang out with Axe. But I think he's kind of going to be up there by himself for most of what's going on. Just going to quickly send out a tweet here. Let everyone know that the game is about to start.
Remaining.
Sorry, I meant to send this out earlier.
Prepare for battle.
This is so unprofessional. My mistake, guys. Alright, we're good. Shameless self-plug. Follow me on Twitter at NizCast. But let's introduce the teams and the players. On the Radiant side, we've got Team Boreal playing their Disruptor is going to be Pizza Dad. Ooh, he's got a pretty awesome looking set as well for the Disruptor. We may actually have action right off the bat here. KVH is going to be on the Shadow Fiend. Angry Testes leading the way with the Sven. He will get the stun off onto Monkeys Forever. That's going to be followed up by the Light Strike Array. Will they be able to catch Monkeys Forever? They won't, but they'll be able to drop him down to about half HP, which is quite significant because that's going to burn through a lot of his regen. As you see, he actually started with 8 tangos, pulled away a bunch of those, so he's actually down to 5. Well, he pulled away to 6, and he's already used one of them, but you see, after the first tango went through, he's still at under 300 HP, so he's going to have to use another. So he's going to be a little light on regen to start this game off. Well, let's continue introducing the teams and the players. PK is going to be on the Lina, and Jeppins once again is going to be on the Axe. So he will have played Axe all 3 games for Boreal this tournament. For Root Gaming, we've got Fluff and Stuff on the Zeus. Guanzo is going to be on the Magnus. Monkeys Forever, which we saw take a little bit of damage there off the start, is going to be playing Phantom Lancer. TC, the stand-in, is going to be playing the Templar Assassin in the mid lane. And Jason, aka Fun, aka Spirit, is going to be on the Witch Doctor. So our lanes are actually turning out to be a little bit different than I was expecting. Lina actually is going to be up here in the top lane, at least to start, with the Axe. And they're going to be going up against the Witch Doctor and the Phantom Lancer. So it looks like we've got a 2-1-2 or a 2v2 lane to start everything off. And in the mid lane, we're going to have Shadow Fiend and Templar Assassin. And that leaves us in the bottom lane to have Sven and Disruptor going up against the Zeus and Magnus. So it's a 2-1-2 setup for both teams, trying to eke out as much as they can from the lanes. And really interesting that we're not seeing the Sven and the Lina kind of in the same lane. Very devastating lane. But at the same time, I'm not sure if Disruptor would be as capable up in the top lane as Alina would be. Because Disruptor is actually relatively weak early on. He kind of... If you're in a tri-lane, you never want to go aggro with the Disruptor because he is so weak. Thunderstrike isn't the weakest skill at all, but at level 1 it's like, okay, what does this thing really do? Disruptor in general is just really squishy. If he falls behind in levels, or if he dies early on, he really struggles to get back in the game, a lot harder than most supports. So he's actually quite strong in a kind of defensive situation, just kind of maintaining the lane, but in terms of actually trying to put on any aggression, he's definitely not the best option, and that's probably why you're going to see him stay in the bottom lane rather than being up here. Lina, of course, she's the lot more aggressive support out of the two, so she's going to be up there trying to bully in that top lane, create a little bit of space for the Axe. Of course, Lina, her attack range is gigantic, so she's got that going for her as well.
Get it go!
Saw a little bit of pulling here coming out from the Radiant side, just making use of this camp, pulling it off towards the left to grab their creep wave as it comes down, just to prevent a little bit of that XP and gold going Monkeys Forever's way. So far, we've got TC leading the way in the mid lane, 16 and 9 CS versus just the 9 and 1 from KVH. But of course, this is a Shadow Fiend. He's always slow to kind of get the ball rolling. as he moves to 10-1 CS now.
Denied.
Just 9 souls.
First blood.
Because unfortunately I miss the first blood as Jeppin's diving past the tower in the top lane. Courier even flying in, taking a hit from PQ. But it will be the Witch Doctor to take the fall to start everything off. And now unfortunately we're going to get a pause coming out from Monkeys Forever. Just saying some lag here. But it looks like Jeppin dove past the tower, and obviously they got a good amount of damage in on that Witch Doctor, softened him up a little bit, allowing that dive to occur. And it will be first blood in the for the side of Boreal. As for this bottom lane, Mag actually doing quite all right. 11 CS, not as much as the Axe. Of course, Axe having 5 more CS, but at the same time also getting that first blood, which just occurred, and that's going to put him up to 1,000 gold right now. That's going to allow him to finish his Tranquil Boots and start moving towards, I'm guessing, the Blink Dagger immediately after that. Like I said, the game that Boreal won yesterday, it was all about getting the Axe going, getting the Axe involved. PQ was the one on the Earthshaker, so once he got involved in the game as well, they were really in a good position. So looks like they're doing quite well to start this one off right now. And you have to say that that's going to be good for Boreal. Fortunately, we're going to get a disconnect coming out from Monkeys Forever. Probably just trying to restart his client just to help with the lag and the delay. Hopefully that'll clear up for him and we'll be able to resume this game. As for Dota 2 Lounge, they apparently, well, the bets, not Dota 2 Lounge, but everyone apparently thinks that this is going to be a walkover for Root Gaming. 78% are in favor of Root to win this one, but, well, Boreal looking like they're ahead right now. It'll be interesting to see how this mid lane develops. So like I said, there is a distinct advantage right now for TC on the Templar Assassin. Now 21 and 10 CS versus 12 and 1 for KVH on the Shadow Fiend. But once we get a little bit more levels under the belt of the Shadow Fiend, that means he can push that lane, drop down, start farming up this camp or even the camp below it as well. And that's going to help increase his farm and help him start snowballing a little bit harder. Templar Assassin, one of those heroes that can struggle a little bit with a creep wave getting pushed on her when she's basically forced to last hit under her tower. Of course, like any mid hero, it's always pretty easy to last hit under the tower if you know what you're doing when it comes to last hitting. But still, when you're kind of stuck under your tower and not really able to push the wave back quickly, that just creates more time for the Shadow Fiend, who's pushed that lane really hard using the raises, to drop down into this jungle and start clearing up these camps. And like I said, if he's able to do that, that's going to really allow his farm to kind of explode. And even if he's, you know, a little bit behind right now, 9 CS in terms of last hits behind, but he's also 9 denies behind as well. Even if he's a little bit behind in terms of how the last hitting's going in the lane, that's going to allow him to catch right back up and surpass the other heroes in this game. As we kind of expect, coming out of the laning phase, a Shadow Fiend to be ahead in terms of net worth and to continue to farm faster than most, if not all, carries in the game. But that's just Shadow Fiend. You know, he's not as much a hyper farmer like something like an Alchemist, but he's pretty much as close as we're gonna get to a hero like that in the current meta. Anti-Mage is also one of those that's pretty close. Once he kind of gets started, he just starts farming so quickly. And the reason we don't see heroes like an Alchemist in the current meta is just because of those changes to kind of people refer to it as the rubber band or comeback mechanic, or there's a few other names that people refer to it as. But what happens is that is all based, the amount of gold that the losing team gets for getting a kill is based on the net worth of the target they're killing. So if they're really behind in net worth, and most of that difference in net worth is all on one hero, once they get a kill on that hero, they get a boatload of gold. So those heroes that are ridiculously fast farmers, those hyper farmers like an alchemist, means that, you know, they're expecting to be several thousand net worth. They have to be several thousand net worth over everyone else in the game to be effective. And that's kind of the strength of them. They come on fast, they reach their peak very, very quickly just by getting a ton of items and becoming a hyper farmer, reaching that peak. You know, maybe not reaching 6 slotted, but getting pretty damn close to that fairly early on into the game. And then they just kind of roll with that and roll with the fact that they've got all this item advantage over their opponents. But you won't really see too much of that right now because of that comeback mechanic, because they're going to have such a huge net worth discrepancy than their opponent, and that just kind of feeds this comeback mechanic. So it's a little bit of a shame that we probably won't see more hyper farmers like that kind of come back or be played all too often in the current meta. And you know, maybe we will. Maybe people are just kind of over exaggerating the effect of that comeback mechanic, and people maybe just need to learn to play a little bit safer or a little bit more organized going on. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, we do still see Anti-Mage from time to time, so he's not completely gone. We see Shadow Fiend. He's one of those heroes too. So teams aren't 100% scared to pick these hyper farmers. But unfortunately, we still aren't ready to go here. Well, actually, Monkeys Forever disconnected right now, so maybe we will be able to go in just a second here. Good to see Mr. Sizzo. I almost said Monkeys Forever. Good to see Mr. Sizzo in chat. Welcome back to the stream, man. You missed the draft. We missed your predictions. But, looks like we're going to resume here. Remember, we just had Bloodlust, or First Blood. God, there's the Han coming back to me. We just had First Blood in the top lane, and that went to the Axe. And I still see Monkeys Forever as being DC'd on the minimap. So hopefully he's actually connected again. I believe he is. So maybe my map will just have to update. Or we may just have to deal with the fact that TC is going to be a red X on the minimap. A little bit harass here coming out onto Guanzo as they try to force him back. Double damage was just picked up by the Zeus, who just made his way down into the bottom lane. So Fluff on a hero that typically doesn't right-click all that much, and it's going to be quite difficult to right-click against PQ as he's down here, but they don't need to, as they're going to initiate onto Guanzo, who just barely got that skewer off in time, just getting outside the kinetic field. Of course, if that kinetic field had set up just a fraction of a second earlier, that skewer would have been stopped dead as soon as he got to the edge. Basically what happened with the kinetic field is it the way the mechanic works is it decreases your move speed to 0 when you hit the edge of it, so that skewer would have just completely stopped, and there's really no way for you to get outside of that, or at least early on in the game. You can do some neat tricks like manting over the edge of it and stuff like that, but Force Staff and stuff like that will not work. So they were very close to locking down Guanzo there, and had they done that, I'm pretty sure he would have taken a fall. And there's no way that Fluff would have been able to save him, because he was way... he had actually had to exit out through the Radiant Jungle, out through the bottom rune location, so he was nowhere even close to being able to help his Magnus. And with kind of the amount of pressure that we've seen coming out from Jeppins and PQ, although PQ had just rotated to the bottom lane, we see him come back up here now. They've actually managed to force Jason all the way back to Fountain on this Witch Doctor, and that's really helped to keep down Monkeys Forever on this Phantom Lancer. Just 17 and 2, now 18 and 2 CS, and he's actually going to go down here as they're going to dive past the tower for it. There is going to be a TP coming in from Fluff, but he's going to think better of it and cancel. And he was going to get glimpsed anyways, as Pizza Dad just sent Fluff back, although they weren't really able to get any damage in.
Tower is under attack.
But either way, I don't think he was going to let Fluff jump up there into the top lane. As with With Fluff not being able to TP up there and Jason just walking back and the PL dead, they did just miss a little bit of XP and gold under that tower. So slight advantage there going the way of Boreal on top of the kill.
Denied.
Trying to keep my eye on the mid lane as you see KVH doing what I said with the neutral camps, getting that little bit of extra farm. He's now up to 27 and 7 CS, so still 8 CS behind TC, but he's going to start narrowing that gap, and we're going to start seeing the effects of that in the net worth pretty soon. I don't like to look at the net worth prior to 10 minutes, so we're going to have to wait at least 3 minutes for that, as I think last hits are a pretty damn good indication of what's going on. Of course, you have to keep in mind what's been going on with the kills. TC is hasted here. He does know exactly what that Shadow Fiend's going to be wanting to do with those creep camps. As you see, that one's already doubled up. And now he's going to try to engage on KVH, but PQ's in behind. So he won't go too deep or won't go anywhere near the tower, of course. Had he been stunned up there, he could have put himself in a really poor position. But Japan's still able to bully in this top lane despite the fact that the lean is not there. Some pings going out indicating that well, the enemies are close. That's Fluff and Guanzo making the rotation out from the bottom lane, trying to come in behind this Shadow Fiend played by KVH, and I think he is in a whole lot of trouble. PQ has moved away. RP's going to come out. This is going to be a dead Shadow Fiend. There he goes. So Root Gaming get their first kill of the game. PQ just unfortunately had to watch from the high ground. And Viz just spawned in the top rune location. Jeppins will pick it up. He, of course, has his Tranquil Boots, which you saw him be able to finish thanks to the first blood, but it's also allowed him to get up to 2,060 gold. So he'll have his Blink Dagger in no time, barring no deaths in the few minutes here. In fact, with that creep wave, he should be able to purchase it. He's actually not purchasing it right now, and there's a reason for that. Part of it is trying to keep his reliable gold still available to him, but it's also the fact that he doesn't want to just show the fact that all of a sudden he's got a Blink Dagger if he's not immediately going to use it. You always kind of want to get that surprise factor. So now that PQ's come up here, we're going to see him pick it up, and they're going to look to go for a kill here immediately. Maybe even right now. Yep, as they're going to jump in and taunt onto Monkeys Forever, follow that up with a stun and a wave, and then the head chop. And a nice kill there, but there's just those slight little plays, just not buying that Blink Dagger, although he could have. Had he just purchased it there without PQ being up there, they wouldn't have been able to get that kill. Monkeys Forever would have been playing a lot more cautiously. As you see KVH in a whole bunch of trouble in the mid lane. He's going to go down. Got some good damage in on Guanzo, and the tower getting some good damage in on TC, but both low, but both not dead, and that's the important part. As Root gets their second kill of the game, both so far on the Shadow Fiend. But we take a look at the last hits, and the top three are all belonging to Boreal, so they've been farming the map a little bit better as we see more action in the mid lane as Jeppins now putting pressure on the TA. This was largely considered for quite some time when TA was picked quite a bit. The Axe being able to be thrown in the mid lane to counter the TA in the laning phase. Don't really see that much at all anymore, as TA certainly isn't picked all that much, and Axe is typically picked in the draft before the TA, and he's mainly relegated to the offlane. Also, KVH wanting to go for that rune, but with the Psionic Trap just getting thrown down, he's definitely not going to commit and walk past that. Had he been slowed down, he would have, well, been setting himself up to take a third fall of the game, and he definitely doesn't want that to happen. We see a chainmail getting picked up by him and sitting in his stash right now, so he is going to be going for the mech. We've been seeing a lot of players favoring the mech on the Shadow Fiend into the Yules. It seemed like that was the go-to build for pretty much every Shadow Fiend, and then the mech kind of fell out of favor, and people were skipping it and just going for the Yules, sometimes Blink Yules. But we're seeing mech get picked up a lot more recently, and that just helps tank up the Shadow Fiend, but also gives a little bit of heal that he can provide to his team. But it's mainly just one of those items that you can pick up just to tank yourself up a little bit. Angry Testy just running into Roche there for a second. I don't think they thought that someone was actually able to do Roche. I don't think there's anyone on route that would be able to do Roche this early on. Phantom Lancer with the illusions wouldn't really be able to. He could of course use his illusions to tank As I miss a kill in the mid lane is
Dire's
Jeppins
bottom tower is under
starting
attack.
to get going on the axe as he gets a kill onto Fluff. Jeppins now up to 4-0. He's gotten all 4 kills for Boreal. And like I said, in the game that they won yesterday, Jeppins was one of the strong factors in that. He, on the axe, once he got going, was just continually snowballing out of control. As you see him blink forward, get another taunt off onto Guanzo. The stun comes out from PQ, but Guanzo did manage to get the skewer off. He'll back that up with an RP, but it's not an offensive RP. It's a very defensive RP as he was able to back away and get behind Fluff, which is funny. Kind of hide behind the Zeus, which is one of the squishier heroes in the game. But Jeppins almost taking a fall there. He will be able to get away, and he's just going to head back to the fountain. Tranquils will heal him up quite a bit before he gets there. There is level 6 available to Fluff, but he doesn't have the mana to do so. 8 seconds on his soul ring, but I think
Radiant's top
the
tower
axe
is
will
under
be
attack.
up above the kill threshold, and indeed he will. We'll see if Fluff actually chooses to ult. It doesn't look like he'll do so, as a soul ring is available to him. But Jeppins, you can see, is already at full. As he'll TP to the bottom lane with PQ, as they've also both smoked up. So trying to set up a kill in this bottom lane. Unfortunately, there are no dire heroes down here. The closest one was Jason, who has rotated already past the Ancients. And we see Thunder God's Wrath coming out. It won't really reveal, well, I mean, it'll reveal everyone on Boreal, but it won't really give them too much information on Boreal trying to set anything up, as they knew that Jeppins and PQ were moving around. But they've now found themselves in the mid lane. Now they're going to go on to TC, getting the taunt off, not on a creep wave, but the most important part is them being able to lock down the Templar Assassin, and indeed they were, and Jeppins, once again, gets another kill. 5-0 now for him. And ooh, Angry Testy just picking up the Blink Dagger on the Sven. Which he's not worried about going straight after right click. Getting the Blink Dagger, trying to get a lot more active, as we see immediately with that. He gets a kill in the top lane onto Fluff. And Angry Testy.
Dire's middle tower
He was known for his play in StarCraft 2, but if anyone followed Han for a little while, then you know the name Angry Testy as well. And Sven getting that Blink Dagger was very, very common in Han, as you wanted to get that and get involved, and we're seeing kind of the Han effect, I guess. But of course, that was originally taken from Dota 1, as I believe it was Vigos was the first one who did it. He started running Sven actually in the mid lane, and picking up a Blink Dagger on Sven, rushing a Blink Dagger on Sven, and getting really involved, running around and ganking. There was pretty much no farming. You got all your gold just from running around killing people. Of course, Dota 1 was a very different game back then. But that's kind of the root of all of it. We're going to switch on over here to the net worth, as we see number 1 is going to be Jeppins at 6,900, just under 7,000 net worth. Closest to him is TC on the TA at 6,500. Then KVH, a little bit lower than we typically see a Shadow Fiend at this stage of the game, at 5,800. Basically tied with Angry Testy on that Sven. But Boreal, looking pretty good. 3 out of the top 4 of the top farmers in the game do belong to them, unfortunately. 2 out of the bottom 3 also belong to them, so their support's falling behind a little bit in relation to Root. As we see a little bit of pressure being applied to this tier 1 tower, but Boreal's not going to let it go unnoticed, as they've TP'd not just PQ but Jeppins as well up here, and he's going to try and jump on in and get the taunt, but he actually taunted before he blinked there. Not sure if that was intentional, probably not. So he'll get the Battle Hunger off onto TC. And TC's actually in an interesting position here, but Guanzo's going to jump forward, skewer on the axe, bring him back towards his team, but Jeppins is just so damn tanky. And in turn, Jeppins will just say, I'm not going to run away from you guys, I'm just going to chop off heads. As Guanzo will take a fall, now Jason's going to go down as well. Monkeys Forever tries to juke through the trees, but there's no escape there. 3 heroes get wiped out and punished for just looking at that top tier 1 tower. And on the back of that, Boreal. They've got 5 up here. They're going to take the tier 1 tower for themselves.
Radiant's middle tower
PQ
is
already
under
pushing
attack.
up past the tower, clearing out the next
Dire's
creep
top
wave
tower
so that they
has
can keep
fallen.
moving forward, put some pressure on this tier 2. I don't think their heroes are all going to stick around, but the creep wave at least will put that pressure on. TC, seeing that there's 5 heroes in the top lane, going to get a little bit of farm. Good timing there
Dire's
coming up
top
from
tower
TC,
is under
reacting to
attack.
not just the TP coming in from KBH. I'm not even sure if he could have seen that, but reacting to the timing that it would take to rotate from top. Unfortunately, he did get caught out by the glimpse, and he will... Oh my goodness, he won't die! Holy moly, I thought he was going to go down for sure there. He just gets away. That was, I think, 30 HP, maybe even less. But that was a really smart move from the Disruptor to walk up here and be able to catch TC as he went up there. He did a little bit of a greedy play there, and I thought he left just at the right time to not get caught, but I underestimated the speed of this Disruptor as he was able to catch up. Good play from Pizza Dad there, almost getting them a kill, but TC just getting out by the skin of his teeth. Let's take a look at our gold graph. Obviously, that last fight is going to make it a little bit Boreal favored, but I think they were a little ahead to begin with, as you see them over 5k ahead. It's about 6,000 actually ahead for them. In terms of XP, we're just under 4,000
Radiant's middle
XP
tower
lead
is
for
under
Boreal.
attack.
See 4 heroes up in the top lane for Root. Will they look to try and push this tier 1 tower again? Doesn't look like it, as they're all kind of backing and going towards the jungle. Boreal, nice and spread on the map, getting as much farm as they can right now. And, well, they're not really getting pressured because Root just grouped in the top lane and didn't really make anything happen. Now they're all just kind of jungling together.
Ready to burn.
Guanzo farming up in the mid lane while TC's taking the Ancients. What will they look to do here? As they're all now making their way down towards the bottom lane. As it looks like Boreal is also making the way down here, looking to put some pressure on this tier 1. So both teams recognizing that a fight is about to happen, most likely around this bottom
Dire's
tier 1
bottom
tower.
is under
We've got
attack.
Guanzo off to the side. He does have that blink dagger, so he's going to look to try and get an RP. But they led with a
Dire's
blink
structures
skewer
are
last fight, and it
fortified.
didn't work out for them. It
Dire's
was on
bottom
Jeppins
tower
though,
is
and
under
he
attack.
is very, very tanky at this stage of the game. Vanguard is a hell of an item early on. KBH does have the mech as well to heal up
Dire's
Jeppins if
bottom
need be.
tower has fallen.
But they're not even going to be able to contest the tier 1 towers. It's going to fall to Boreal.
Dire's
Thunder God's
bottom
Wrath
tower
will go
is
out,
under attack.
just kind of spotting where Boreal is. Have they backed, or are they still going to keep pushing? And, well, a few seconds later to see that
Radiant
indeed they are still
structures
hanging
are
around here.
fortified.
TC was pressuring in the mid
Dire's
lane,
bottom tower is under
and with a
attack.
little bit of TP support, they will be able to save their tier 1 tower, or at least allow them to deny it, as it's going to go down. But good
Radiant's
play from
middle
TC there to
tower
go
has
for the
been
trade,
denied.
as Root obviously didn't want to fight there, and said, you know what, we can park TC in the mid lane and get us a tower there, or get us a trade. Unfortunately, the glyph and the TPs meant that it was going to get denied, but Boreal did manage to get a pick off there, as Fun was punished for farming maybe a little bit too aggressively in the mid lane. And Grutesi farming in the top lane, once again forcing Monkeys Forever to leave the lane and go farm somewhere else. See his net worth just at 5,600. He's really been struggling this game. We're going to need quite a bit of time for him to get involved and to be able to, I was going to say, become the PL that we all know and love, but that's not a hero I love. I don't like playing PL, I don't like playing against PL, so he's fun to watch at times though, so I'll give him that. KVH, like I said, normally we see Shadow Fiend leading in the net worth, but still not in that top slot. He's about 600 behind, and it's actually 600 not behind the Axe. It's the 600 behind the Templar Assassin. So TC's been farming up and doing quite a good job on this Templar Assassin to keep himself involved in this game. Although we haven't seen him fighting too much. Most of it is him going for trades in different areas of the map, not trades involving kills. But he has managed to get a Desolator to go with his Blink Dagger. And that reminds me, let's actually go through all the items. We almost have a Yule Scepter finished by Fluff on the Zeus. We have that Blink Dagger and almost a Force Staff for Guanzo on the Mag. Jason, just your typical support stuff. Monkeys Forever, getting the Vlads and an Ultimate Orb, 1,000 gold as well. So not electing to go after the Diffusal Blade is the first item. We saw Angry Testy get that yesterday. Speaking of Angry Testy, we got Blink Dagger, an Ogre Club, and a Helm of the Dominator. So looking like he's going to be picking up BKB as his next item. KVH, the mech, the Ultimate Orb, and 2,600 gold. Will he go for the Mancer or will he just go straight for a Scotty? Jeppins, Blink, Vanguard, and a Mystic Staff.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So he's going to be going for Shivas as his next item. There is the off chance that he could be going for a Sheep Stick instead, but I imagine it will be the Shivas. That'll give them some good AoE to deal with those PL illusions, although they aren't the biggest threat right now. They will become a threat as the game goes on.
Middle tower is under
PQ just has a Staff of Wizardry. I'm guessing that's building towards a Yules. Of course, Yules synergizes so well with Lina. Throw them up in the air, drop them into an LSA, followed by Dragon Slave, and then eventually Laguna. Pizza Dad, similar to Fun, just having your typical support items. That should round it up for every hero. I don't think I missed anyone. But we've got an Ogre Club also getting picked up by TC recently, so it looks like he's going to be going for a BKB as his next item as well. The 4-staff was finished by Guanzo. But looks like we've hit a little bit of a lull in the actions. Both teams just being okay with sitting back and farming a little bit here. We do deal with quite a decent lead in terms of kills, 10-2. Take a look at the gold graph. It's still kind of stabilized around that 5,000 to 6,000 gold mark. XP's coming back towards Root a little bit, 3,500 now, still in favor of Boreal. So it looks like Root's actually, when we've reached these kind of stalemate parts where there's not too much going on the map in terms of kills, looks like Root just being a little bit more efficient on the map, getting a little bit more farm. So Boreal, I think, should look to put a little bit of pressure on. They did just hit a timing. It is a Scotty for KVH. So with that, maybe they're going to look to put on some aggression, or maybe they're going to wait for the Shivas to get finished. Well, actually, the Shivas is finished. It just has to fly out to the Axe. Or they could wait for the Yules on the Lina, although it's a little ways out. As, well, we just need the Sobi Mask and the recipe. Well, I mean, he needs to buy the Void Stone, but he's got clearly enough gold for that. A little bit of counter warding here coming up from Boreal, and that's going to allow them to have a bunch of vision surrounding the Roche Pit. As you see Angry Testy actually standing in the Roche Pit. Of course, he's standing directly on top of a Psionic Trap, so yes, they did some counter warding, but Root has complete vision of this going on. We switch on over to their vision. They actually can't see the heroes, but they can see the fact that Roche is fighting something. And he's not just fighting the Centaur, he's definitely fighting some heroes. Guanzo up on the high ground. He's going to look to jump on in with the RP, but the lack of vision of the heroes could mean that it's going to be a little bit difficult for them. Actually, he will jump on in here, as he can see KVH and Jeppins, but they were ready for it. Immediately, they kill Guanzo. Aegis will get picked up by the Shadow Fiend, as we see TC also go down to the hand of PQ. As with that, 2 kills quickly go the way of Boreal, and they'll look to march down mid with that Aegis and with that hero advantage.
Radiant's top
no real items, or no real big ults going down. We did see the Static Storm go down, and yes, that was certainly, that's certainly a big ultimate for them, but it should be up pretty soon. Just about a minute out, so it won't be up to kind of align with TC's respawn timing. But they do have Laguna available to them, although the mana's not going to allow it right now. Jeppin's jumping forward, using that Shivas to put some pressure onto Fluff here. Stun comes out from Angry Testy to stun up Fluff, as we're going to see him get chopped off, and we're also going to see Jason lose his head as well. So 2 noggins fall, and now Boreal takes the tier 3 in the mid lane. They're going to take down this melee Rax as well. We do have the mag back up. TC's going to be up in 5, but I don't think they're going to look to engage here 3v5, even with the TA back up. They're going to have to suck it up and accept the fact that they have lost their mid-Rax and start thinking about how they're going to be able to claw their way back in this game. As Boreal looking pretty good right now to take this game and move ahead in the group at 2-1. Keep in mind, everyone in this group is tied at 1 win and 1 loss apiece, with the exception of Root, as this is their first game. So we're going to see Root play everyone in the group today. So they're the ones who can really make a difference in this in this group, and it's everyone else's responsibility just to try and win the one game that they've got and put themselves in position to, well, potentially just take advantage of teams losing to Root and allowing them to get in through that way, or at least put themselves in a position where they will be involved in a tiebreak, which will have to be decided a little bit later on in the night. A question coming out in chat about does Mag have the blink there revolving around that play on Roche Pit? Indeed he does. He has both the blink and the force staff. But he just kind of jumped on into the pit and got immediately shut down. I'm not even sure how they had vision of him jumping in there, but they were very quick to react. Maybe there was a thunder strike on Roche. That could have given them vision up onto the high ground. I don't recall whether that actually was out there though. But either way, it was very fast reactions coming out from them. As I imagine they
bottom tower is under attack.
I imagine they knew that he was going to be jumping in. Ah, the Shivas gave vision. Good call there. Good call by Espresso Shot. That's, of course, another value in picking up that Shiva's guard. It gives you vision up onto high ground if you use it like that.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
I'm not sure if he actually skewered in, but he did. It could have been the force staff. He definitely didn't blink, because he clearly like moved down this cliff, and I was expecting just a blink right to here and then RP, because he had vision of the Shadow Fiend. They kind of pushed up past
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Past Roche, and then immediately he just got blown up. Yeah, it was definitely skewer or force. Blink was cancelled by Shivas. Yeah, that's why he wouldn't have been able to go on. I thought he could have gone on earlier, but either way, we are going to see the tier 3 go down here. As this is going to be a very important fight. Of course, if Root loses this, they probably just straight up lose the game and will be forced to call GG. Jeppins will pop that Shivas. RP is going to come out. It's going to land on Angry Testy and Jeppins, but it's going to be a static storm to counter as we see Guanzo go down. Now Angry Testy's pop that BKB, going after 2 targets, but they're both up in the air in the Yule Scepter. TC has gone down, buys back into the game. Monkeys Forever goes down. TC will be able to claim that kill onto KVH. And I think Boreal's going to have to back away here. They want those kills, but they probably maybe should have stuck on the racks a little bit more, as in turn they actually don't get the racks down. They're going to lose Pizza Dad. Jeppins is going to get a nice taunt off onto TC and Monkeys Forever. TC's going to go down. Monkeys Forever, I think, will be able to make it back to the fountain, or will he? Jeppins going to try to chase him down. This time they've got the I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but either way, they've got the foresight to just kind of come back here and realize that maybe they're overextending. Just take the racks. That's what we're here for. And the second set of racks will go down in favor of Boreal. GG not getting called yet, although you have to think that Root's in a much worse situation than they were less than 10 minutes ago. Take a look at the gold graph as it's going up, and it's going up pretty quickly. Over 15,000 now in favor of Boreal. XP now over 12,000 in favor of Boreal as well. I want to keep in mind, Dota 2 Lounge, the bets, 78% were in favor of Root Gaming. Boreal seemingly taking the upset based on what everyone else was predicting. I thought this was certainly going to be a close game, and frankly, it's been anything but. Boreal just kind of took the lead really early on and just kind of rolled with it. Despite the fact that KVH not really able to take off like you typically expect a Shadow Fiend to. So TC did a good job keeping the Shadow Fiend down. But it's not just about Shadow Fiend. There's Dota's a 5v5 game, and those other heroes definitely taking advantage of it. With Jeppins, once again, 9-0-7. Seems like every time he's able to get the ball rolling and take control of the game with this axe, Boreal does well. We've seen them play it all 3 games during this tournament. And the one time it didn't work out for them was the time where the axe kind of struggled early on. So certainly that's something to look forward to.
Radiant's bottom tower is
as
under
we'll
attack.
most likely see some games from Boreal moving forward. Wanta's going to jump on in. RP's just going to land on KVH. Jeppins was able to move above, so he wasn't caught in that taunt, but we are going to see the Laguna come out. That's going to drop Guanzo. Jason's going to go down as well. And with those 2 heroes dead, no buyback on either of them, Boreal will take this tier 3, followed by the racks, and eventually the game. As TC, Fluff, and Monkeys Forever are going to do what they can to try and defend here. Glyph will come out, try to keep the tier 3 alive as long as they can. But it's certainly going to fall here in just a second. Yule's going up onto Jeppins. As he's just going to wait for that Blink Dagger to refresh, and he's probably going to jump onto Monkeys Forever here. Will he? Maybe? No, Angry Tessie's impatient. He's just going to jump in, get the stun off onto Fluff. That's another kill for Boreal. We're going to have a respawn from the Witch Doctor, but Monkeys Forever is going to go down before that's going to happen. And GG, well played, will come out from Fluff. Root concede their first game. Boreal moves to first place in the group at 2-1. Root, fortunately, off to not the best start for the night, as they're 0-1. But they do have 2 more games remaining today. Our next game will be between Wheel and Root, where Wheel will look to try and match what Boreal has done this game. And with a win there, if Wheel wins the next game, then we'll have at least Boreal and Wheel tied, and that would mean Root would be out of it. And then the third game of the night would be deciding whether or not Black Sheep would be matched with Boreal and Wheel in terms of a tiebreaker. But we've got certainly an interesting night of Dota to come, as, well, every game is going to be important tonight, so that should be good. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. We've got our next game starting at 8:45, so just about 15 minutes or so from now. So hopefully you'll stick with us until then. Once again, I'm Niz. This was the Dota 2 Canada Cup. I'm not the official stream, so if you want to find that, you can check that out at Dota 2 Canada Cup on Twitch TV. Besides that, buy the in-game tickets, $9. You get a Sven set. We saw Sven played this game, and we didn't actually have the set from Angry Testy. So that's a little disappointing. But part of that money goes towards increasing the prize pool, so that's definitely awesome. If you want to hear more about what I'm doing in terms of casting, of course, follow me on this channel at NizCast on Twitch TV. You can also follow my Twitter account at NizCast. And I upload all the VODs of everything I cast on youtube.com/NizCast, so you can go check those out. And I'm actually the only one uploading VODs of these games on YouTube, so if you want to go check those out, you can find them out. I imagine Dota 2 Canada Cup's going to be uploading their VODs for the playoffs and on, as that's what they did last season. So they're not doing anything for the group stage. So I am. So if you want to see the VODs, you can check those out. But of course, buy the in-game ticket and you can watch in-game as well. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. Like I said, we've got our next match coming up at 8:45 between Wheel and Root, as Root looks to get themselves back in this tournament and get themselves involved, and a Wheel will look to match what Boreal has done in this game and put themselves at least in contention to move on to the next round. Once again, I'm Niz. Thanks for watching.